G'day everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is T. Please don't forget to hit the like on your way in. I have a very special guest today, joining me all the way from Quebec in Canada. His name is Michel Fracoeur. He is a former member of 4 cults, including 20 years in Scientology, and is an author of an amazing book called Falling from a Pink Cloud. So without further ado, let's introduce... It's Michel, isn't it? Not did I say Michel?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, how
bonjour.
are you?
I'm
Thanks
very
for the
well. How
nice
are you?
introduction. The
I
fourth
hope so.
cult. I know it's been officially that I went to 3 cults. The last one I never know how to call it because it's Pentecostal churches, and
Oh
some
yeah,
of
some of them are culty.
this is I ended up in a really bad one. But
Yeah.
Christian churches are not. Some Pentecostal church are okay, but
Oh yeah. There's lots
there
of them
are
different.
quite a few that are really heavy. Where
Mm.
people get sick because they get into trance, and then they start.
Yes, I
I
did an
saw.
interview. I actually
Yeah.
did an interview with someone called Nomi. It's on my channel. It's quite bad quality video, but he was in a Pentecostal one in I think he was in Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, he just speaking in tongues and stuff like that.
That's
So
it. That's it.
yeah,
Yes. I
yeah.
started. This is where I freaked out. I was 45. I said that's enough for me. That
Yeah.
that search for meaning into religious organization, it's over for me. That was the end of my cult hopping, and that's what
Yeah.
my book is about. It's about cult
Yes.
hopping, and it shows how you transmit that through generation. The first cult I
Yes.
was in, I was born from the 4th generation in that first cult, so I did not.
Oh,
It's
your family was in it before for 3
yeah,
generations?
yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was. It's not really, but because I was born in a religious field and a religious surrounding and into a cult, and I was indoctrinated with some stuff that became beliefs that led me through my life after searching, always loving spirituality and looking always to get to another level, and
Yeah.
distance me from society and from the big pharma and from the multinational businesses because they're all monsters, and then these there is something called I move my hands a lot. That must be
Yeah.
my guitar default.
Yeah.
There, where was I? I was going to say something. Anyway, and these cults, they put beliefs in you. Oh yeah, I wanted to
Yes.
talk that these beliefs sometime, even if I wasn't, let's say my parents would have left just before I'm born, it would have
Yeah.
been transmitted to me still. And this is called epigenetic. They have
Okay.
it's epigenetic. They have
Oh,
started.
epigenetics. Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah,
that.
this
Yeah.
they started doing research about it and the studies, and they saw that some children, that were born from parents who had known the Holocaust, the
Mm,
Jewish community, they have
yeah.
they had different behavior than the other kids who were raised into
Generational
society.
trauma. It's
Yeah, it's
generational trauma could be.
multi-generational.
Yeah.
It stays
Yeah.
in your ADN and your
Hmm.
ADN because
DNA?
it's a bit weird. It's difficult to explain. I'm not a specialist about that, but your emotion and your thinking and your attitude toward society, it ingrains into your ADN. It's
Yeah.
transformed the composition of your ADN in a certain way. It's
Do you
all
mean
on the it's all in
DNA?
the internet. Yeah, the
ADN?
the ADN,
DNA.
yeah, DNA. It gets
Yeah.
into your DNA. So
Yeah.
it was ingrained in me. It was very so. At 11, when I got into Scientology, I was attracted by spirituality and by a community that is that stays in marge of society.
Mm,
And that I was attracted by groups that had cultic behavior, that were
yeah.
cultic. So I got into Scientology. I jumped into it. I was 11. I liked it from the first day I got in, and then I went staff at 12 in Montreal. And after a couple months, I left for no, after maybe 7, 8 months, or almost a year. I left for the Sea Org in Florida. I've been in at the Sea Org a little less than a year because I was not going to accept what was happening. The thing is that their brainwashing on me wasn't working so much because I was a delinquent. In Montreal, I was a delinquent and I knew how to defend myself. Already at 12, 13, I was very
Street savvy.
intimidating. And so I told them, you don't fuck with me, you're not giving me my pay and you're not doing what I did done. You're treating me, so go to hell. And I just left. I was attracted by the CR because I wanted to do something for humanity. I wanted to do something with my life. I believed in what they proposed. So I joined that group. I liked it it was like another family. My family was very dysfunctional. We were all fucked up. When we got out of the first cult, my parents went both into depression. My father started using almost every day. And my mother was stuck with 8 children with a father that's never there. And so it was very dysfunctional. So even if I was 12 or 13, I had learned, to take care of myself quite. I was a little adult. I didn't have childhood. So I left the Sea Org, and then I came back and I went into a juvenile center because I overdosed. So I was taking lots of drug when I blew the Sea Org because I was completely lost. And then I spent my teenage time, adolescence, When I was a teenager, I was in the center for juvenile delinquent. And at 18, I got out and I was still, because I am the juvenile center, I was surrounded by the psychs and by the people there. When I left, I felt lost again. And so I had big problems, psychological problems. To solve it, I went back into Scientology at 21. But when I was a teenager, I would still go to see my mom. Mama, when are you coming home? Or Dad, where's Dad? I need Dad for my, Sometime I would go, because I was sometimes stoned and I was still a bad boy. Sometimes my mother says, don't come here. I told you to wait at home, and this is how it was. Anyway, I couldn't, because after I blew the C organization, I couldn't involve myself anymore I wasn't accepted in Scientology. Because I was a deserter from the C.
You had to do the whole.
The whole thing and pay my freeloader debt, and then I came back when they had an amnesty. When the Scientology had religious recognition in the United States, they announced an amnesty. So any ex-Sea Org member or any person who had been declared suppressive, or they would find it much easier to get back into Scientology. I just had to do a paper and to write some kind of affidavit, that I was not going to sue the church. And they let me back in, and then I got back in course because I was having problem with my depression, and I said, let's try it, because when I was a kid, I didn't really see that I needed therapy, but I just got into Scientology because it was.
I don't think you understand that when you're a kid, about mental health and therapy and stuff like that. I'm just saying, can I just say hello to a few people?
Of course, please. Sorry, I speak a lot.
No, you're just like woo, and just dive straight in there. But it's good. It's good. I thought I could talk a lot, but no, we both talk a lot. We were talking quite a lot the other night, and we were like, we better be quiet because we won't have anything else to say when we go live. So I just want to say good morning.
What do you mean? We're not live?
Yeah, we're live. No, I mean
okay. The other evening.
Yeah. Good morning, Adrian, Brian, Mena, Irish Mark. Thank you so much for modding. We got Style Audit 1A. Hello, lovely to see you. Joe Bananas, hello. Jodie Q, hello. No, want to miss anyone. Who else have we got? Blah, 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 blah. Cricket Cinema. Hello. I'm going to put your comment up in a second. Thanks, Joe. That's really sweet of you. Lupita T, hello. Hola. Nice to see you. I think I've got everybody. Amy M, hello. I just saw a comment. There's a couple of comments actually. Oh, and if anyone wants to ask a question or say a comment, can you please put it in capitals before, just so I can pick it out a bit easier? And I'll stop every now and then and have a look because I can't resist. So this is a comment that might interest you. The mission of the Holy Spirit lived in my hometown in the 1920s. So appreciate your voice, Michel.
Thank you. Yes. The guy that created the mission of the Holy Spirit, he was a criminal. He beated his wife, and he was a fraudster, or anyway.
Fraudster, yeah.
Yeah, so he got into the justice system, and he ran away from Montreal, Canada. Then he went into around Boston there. I don't remember, in Massachusetts, in Fall River, Massachusetts. He established himself there on Goat Island for a few years, and there again he got sued by American justice. So he left to California, and then he established his cult in California. So there were a small branch in Massachusetts, and California. It's still alive because the people in that cult, they cannot mix with people outside of the cult, so they marry between them, and there is a lot of consanguinity. You know, sometimes you marry your the second step cousin, or your so because to try to diminish this, the guy go in California to find a wife, like the Jewish would do. They have two spots in the States that I know, and Fall River and Goat Island, and in California, I think it was North California. I'm not sure.
They all seem to flock to California, don't these cults?
California is very open on religious freedom, and a lot of hippies are there.
Thousands of cults there, I believe.
It's okay, but I think they should reinforce the laws. And
perhaps you would think,
time they don't understand how dangerous the cult leaders are.
Or they're getting something out of it,
they see them just like cuckoos, who are tend to spirituality and who are charismatic, and they don't realize how much they hurt society, not only a person, because your behavior affects all your surrounding and how you're going to behave towards society. If I teach you that everybody outside the cult are Satan's children or are bad, or when you get outside the cult, if you don't deprogram yourself, you're going to behave with these people like if they're mean, if they're bad people, and you will not insert yourself into society and participate to society at large.
Yeah. I've got another question for you. Sorry, but what does Michel think of the protest movement? And do you think it will help end the cult?
I think it's good. It's really good. Me, I couldn't really go and do that because I have post-traumatic stress disorder. When I get close to a church of Scientology, it triggers me like crazy. I want to kill anybody. If anything happened into that manifestation, I think I would lose it. So I stay away from these. But I think it's really good because we need to attack that cult from every side. And this book, I know now, I'm starting to see that people love my book, and I'm going to translate it in Spanish too, because I was in Mexico 2 weeks ago, and I saw that people there, many people still have a good opinion of Scientology. They don't know that
Yeah.
it's a cult. And Mexico, they're still in jails, putting
Oh,
the prisoners in the purification centers, and so this is gonna. I
yes.
have so many big projects with this book.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Do you want to? Oh, sorry, I put it down. Is it? Mena said you don't need to, Michelle. There's lots of us there to do it for you with the translation. You know,
Yeah,
but I think
that's
it's
great.
AI voice, or because you're doing like a proper AI voice. Oh no, I'm thinking about the audio book, aren't I? Yeah, sorry, my
Yeah,
brain's
I
gone.
want to make my book into an audible, but it might be
Audible,
just.
yeah.
But because my accent in English is too big, and for me to read the book, and
I'm protesting.
I try to pronounce it well everywhere. It would take me years to do it in English. So I'm using an AI that it takes my voice, my cloned voice, and that put it reads the text in English for me. But it's my
Yeah,
voice. But it takes me so much time because I'm perfectionist, and sometimes the tone that the AI use is not the right one, as I was telling you, you know. So
yeah,
I'm working a lot on that, putting so much money. That's another thing. I'm putting a lot of time into these books and into my the trying to do the audible and money too, because it's not free.
yeah,
That thing I'm using for the AI is not free, and so I
yeah.
gave the. So please do encourage me just by go get the Kindle version. You know, it's like $4, and
Yeah.
please leave comments on Amazon, because
Yes.
I've given, like,
Good book.
at the last interview I did with Natalie, I gave many books, but none of them went to leave a comment or thank you or
Oh,
something,
yeah, and it's so
and
important.
it changed a lot the perception of the people who go see my book after on Amazon. When they see that I have that many comments and I have much more
Yeah, yeah,
stars, and that people like the book, it gives, because I self-publish my book, I have to do a lot of marketing and promotion. If
promoting.
not,
Yeah,
people won't know that the book is there. It's just gonna stay there if I don't sell it, you know. So
if you want to,
that's what I would like the community to help me with, you know. And I know that
yeah,
the book.
I have left the link for Michelle's book in the description of this show. Yeah, so please, if you want to buy it, like you said, it's only a few dollars for the Kindle version. Do you want
And
to tell us a
even
bit
the
about what it's about? Like,
my book,
yeah, yeah. Is it
it's
is like your story and then
it's at the end, you know, at the end of the book, I wanted to write, when you write the end, I wanted to write between apostrophe, no, I don't know, uh, the end of my cult hopping. That's what
yeah,
the book is about. It's my journey into cult. And so I use my story, my memoir, um,
yeah,
as some kind of canvas to denounce the cult and to expose brainwashing and to expose
yes,
Ron Burt and to expose the first cult leader I was born in, and to expose the Brahma Kumaris, which is a cult very big, very active, and very powerful. And
okay,
no, not many people are denouncing them. I even spoke
wow,
with one or two supposed cult specialists, and they told me, "Oh no, just leave them alone. They're a bunch of girls." But Brahma Kumaris is a dangerous cult, and I'm exposing it into the book too. But yeah, you
I've
might
never
find.
heard of that. Yeah, okay.
And then there is the I'm talking about what happened into the Pentecostal churches I was in at the end,
Mm,
which
yeah,
I found myself with a preacher that was so evil, and this is where my post-traumatic stress started,
yeah,
because in that time it was in 2016, and if you remember, that was the Me Too, and I would hear on television, I would hear a lot about people that had been aggressed. Uh, like there was this guy, you know, had been a TV presenter at grasped the guy's bum in the shower, and the guy was like really offended and da da da. And then I started realizing that what I had lived, I was 10 years old. I was aggressed by a man. That was not normal. But
Yeah.
Scientology had taught me that it was normal, that I had
Yes.
attracted it. They had taught me that.
Yes.
And then
Oh,
as
it's very
then all my
dangerous.
life I thought I just kept that silence. And I said, many times I said, am I gay? Is that why I attracted that when I was 10? I started to think I was responsible for the rap I had. And then at 45, the Me Too was starting to take that trauma back up. And it happened at the same time that I got confrontation with people in that bloody church at the end. And now I couldn't stand any man a bit older than me that showed wanted to use me or aggress me. I became very, because that little child inside was
Yeah.
still hurt, and because of the trance state I was getting in to, that put me into a fragility.
Mm.
I would sing to the Lord, and and I would get so high because of all the brainwashing I had and Scientology. And when I was a kid, when I was aggressed, I I depersonalized at
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
I depersonalized. I got away from the situation, and I felt as if I was watching the men doing that to my body, but I was outside. This is a psychological, well-known psychological phenomena, and so
Disassociation. Yeah.
this all came back in the last Pentecostal church I was in, and that brought me into some kind. I called it a psychosis, but it's not really a psychosis. It's my subconscious that was doing his job. He was doing his job. He wanted to get back in touch with this other cuckoo had
Yeah.
become, and so the only thing it was very difficult and very hurtful to go through that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
at the end it was great and fantastic because that got me out of my. It doesn't mean that these men they behaved correctly, but for me
Mm.
I turned it into something great. And
Yeah.
then this is when I started writing my book because I felt that there was something here I wanted to come out. So I started
Yeah.
writing and writing and writing, and then I had piles of not piles, but piles of files on my computer, and then I put all that together and I started searching about the mission I was born in, but I knew nothing about the doctrine, so I wanted to understand. Sorry, I'm gonna stop talking. I think you might have another question or
You're
something.
okay. You're okay. No, I mean, I understand. I
So,
understand. As
this
you
is
know,
what the book is about. It talks
yeah.
about my deprogrammation that
Yeah.
started when I got into some kind of psychosis and to that
Mm.
Pentecostal church and the state it put me in. For some days I wouldn't sleep. For maybe a week I didn't sleep, and then
Wow.
I had old 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 beliefs that had been inserted in me, and so I need to work my English vocabulary. I
No,
had
no,
these
you're
old
doing really well. Everyone's
the
saying they understand you. It's, it's fine. It's
I
fine.
had these old beliefs that would come
Yeah.
back when I couldn't sleep at night because I was so with the, I call it a psychosis, but I'll tell you what it is. It was
That's
a
trauma.
it was a crisis of cognitive dissonance.
Mm.
That means that my values inside me didn't match my thinking.
Right.
This and if this, that's why sometimes you see pedophiles, they will hang out with other pedophile because these guys they give power to their belief that being a pedophile is okay. The
Yeah.
people
Right.
that,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. If they get out and alone, the intellectual side will come back, and uh, and then they feel anxiety. this is
Yeah.
this is
Don't know
what
what to do with
started
themselves.
at that last church. I realized that I have beliefs ingrained in me that didn't match my value. I was not gonna
Yes.
accept that kind of behavior toward me, and I was still searching for something spiritual, but I didn't want to be in a cult anymore and having some stupid pastor. There are great pastors, but that one was a bitch, I tell you. And
Yes.
I don't want somebody like that to tell me what I should do with my life and what I should think about the Bible or Jesus or whatever. So this is I wasn't, but then the values and the beliefs, and then beliefs that was ingrained in me and Scientology started coming up. And I thought back about the credo of Scientology. When I was 11, I first started going. I would see was posted and the all of the organization, and it says Albert was stating that because to defend his business as a religion, he was stating
Mhm.
that only spirituality and religion can cure the mental and can cure the body.
Yes, and it's
So you
so
had to
dangerous.
invest
Yeah.
yourself into spirituality to find and so that's why sometimes many people they get against medication and all that
Yeah.
because they think that and their meditation trance they were told that they should use that kind of flour for their injury and that kind of oil for that thing, and then it's nature that will cure everybody, and these are some kind of beliefs you find into spiritual movement. And
Lots of different
anyway,
movements. Yeah.
Albert was justifying his religion like that. He said, "We're doing
Yeah.
that because yes, we're giving therapy and we're giving a lot of enhancing course improvement, life improvement courses, and but we do that because we are a spiritual movement, and that's
Mm,
how he got his religious recognition." And
yeah.
so I started seeing these, and I said, "That's bullshit. That's not true. I need to go see a doctor." And then I started therapy with a psychologist, and I found one that I
Mhm.
found people that were not spiritually thinking. Oh, Michel, you need to pray more and be whatever. I had seen a psychologist, and the church where I was. I had started working on myself and therapy, but he was a real psychologist by Jesus freak. When we do the therapy, he says, "I see Jesus beside you," and he's telling me, and what Jesus would do in that situation. It was always around Jesus, and so it,
Where
it
about
it
what?
worked.
Where?
It worked a bit because I was a Christian at that time,
Yeah.
a strong
Yeah.
Christian. So I got into that, and oh well, I don't see him, but yeah, I understand, and but it helped me because that guy I knew he was a trained psychologist, so
So
I could.
he was a
So
Scientologist and a psychologist.
not a Scientologist. I mean, in the last
Oh, a
cult,
psychologist, right? Sorry, I thought you said a
a
psych.
Pentecostist. He
Right.
was a
Okay. Okay.
psychologist,
I was
and
confused. You want to get a
yeah,
Scientologist, psychologist, Christian? That's a lie.
and this psychologist got thrown out from his last job because he would always talk about Jesus. He would always bring Jesus back,
Yeah. Right.
and
Yeah.
so he
And
was
then,
he was
yeah.
thrown out of an hospital where he used to work or something like that. And then so I got into it. I cried a lot, and I started touching my pain more. But when I went back to church, then was getting more in touch with myself, and I see that there was a lot of bullshit there, and the preacher was always talking about Satan, Satan, Satan. So,
Oh
and
my
he
gosh.
tried
Yeah.
to put that idea in our
It's
head.
shame. It's shame. 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 And
Yeah,
the
a
same.
lot and people
Yeah.
outside. He was talking just like the cult leaders I had known before. It was the same bullshit. And anyway, so that was the how I got into that cognitive dissonance crisis that led me
Yeah.
to deprogrammation. I started to see what my thinking, what I'd been incrustated with and indoctrinated with, didn't match my personal values and didn't match what I truly believed in. I had to say, that's bullshit. I don't believe that.
That's
What do I?
incredible. Yeah, it's incredible to me that you were born into this, and and all of these cults will have similarities,
Yeah,
in the control and the shame and everything like that. But you still had your values,
I
internally.
think
You still kept that kind of,
me. I sing. This is what I do as work now. I do concert in hospital mostly. I sing country the, and
Oh,
um,
lovely. I
and
like country.
since I am 7 or 8 years old, I wanted to sing. I wanted to be a singer. Back then, I wanted to be popular and go on TV and all that. When I think this is how this is how I stayed connected to my real self.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
And
beautiful.
this is how I've put a couple of texts in my book that I've written that I came, sometimes as a writer, sometimes it comes great, man. I'd like to hear,
Yeah.
I
Good
would
to
like
get
to hear
together.
you. And, sometimes very often, the text I was writing my song, it came when I woke up in the morning or when I was really relaxed and some kind of spaced out a little, you know. And this happens a lot with great creators. They need either they drink or they use something, and then they get inspired because they get into
Yeah.
some kind of
Yeah.
trance state I can see. Or so then I realized after I've written these songs that they were all talking about me. I thought I was talking about some love story or something that, and then I realized that it was my subconscious that was bringing this up.
There
It
you go.
was, I was doing art therapy without knowing it. And that's why
Yeah.
I love art therapy. And because I was doing that, writing songs, and I had something to grasp to when I was confused with religion, because I love music. I don't know how my people here, my child and my ex-wife, how we live together, but anyway, we how they can stand me. I sing and I play the guitar at least 4 or 5 hours a day. This is my thing. I have this
Yeah.
passion,
Wow. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is one of the rare things that my father taught me. It was good. He said, "You find a goal in your life. Find a
Yeah.
goal, find something you want to be, what kind of man you want to be, what you want to do." So me, when I saw I had this passion as a kid, and it followed me all my life. And so that's why I have I kept the question you were saying, how many languages does Michel
Yeah.
speak?
Sorry, she's put it up a couple of times, and I just wanted to.
I
What do
speak.
you think?
Well, when I studied in McGill in Montreal, I studied opera singing because when I love to do country music and retro music, but nobody wanted to hear that at that time. The big thing was rock
Okay.
and alternative music, and me, I had a problem with alcohol, so I needed to get out of the old places that were still putting country shows on. So I said, am I going more toward alternative music or rock music, or am I going more into something where I can sing with my proper voice? Because today, and from then, every people, there was some kind of screaming and they're singing. And I heard more rock, like Metallica. And that was so not me. I had a nice voice. So I went into classical music at university. And
Okay.
when I studied opera, there I learned Italian. And I was starting quite good at Italian. That's like 15, 20 years ago. But I never speak Italian, so I'm losing it. But when I
Yeah.
go to, and Spanish is very close to Italian and French. The three voices are connected, the three
Yeah.
languages. So I was in Mexico lately, and Mexican, they're telling me, "Oh, you speak well Spanish. Why? Your Spanish is great." But me in my head, I was speaking Italian, you know, because
Yeah.
it's so close. And so
I
I
love
can't,
the language. Yeah.
so I almost speak Spanish, but my vocabulary in Spanish is very weak and the grammar is weak. But
Yes.
every time I go into a Spanish country,
The
I
romance
I can
languages.
manage. Yes, I love to add for about 10 years. I involved myself a lot into opera. I used to love dramatic opera, but I never my voice
Oh,
was good enough that I was accepted in the university. But I
yeah. All
had
right.
problems with reaching my high notes, my technique, because I wouldn't stop singing country. Probably, I didn't get a good technique for opera. Like when you hear Pavarotti singing pop music, when he did
Yeah.
duets
Yeah.
with you see that he keeps his technique, his
Yeah.
classical
Yeah.
singing voice. And me, I wouldn't do that. I would pass from my classical voice to my country
Yeah,
voice, my
you
folk
adapt,
voice,
yeah.
and I got confused. And so anyway,
So what language would you sing country in? Which language would you use for country?
French, mostly French, but some English.
Oh, French
And
country. I've never heard that before.
we have great French Canadian country here.
Okay, I love country music. I've never heard it in
Oh yeah.
French though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have my guitar there. One day I'll play you something, but not today. I just got up,
Oh, go
so it's
on.
quite
No.
early. And,
We're supposed to be talking about brainwashing. We're talking about all sorts. I love it.
yeah,
I bet he likes Edith Piaf. I hope I didn't
yeah, I
butcher
quite like Edith Piaf, but
that. Yeah.
it's to me. I specialize with Alzheimer cases in hospital, people with Alzheimer, and now Edith
Okay.
Piaf is a bit too far for them. I try to help them
Oh, so you're
improve their
working.
memory, and
Oh, so I was gonna say, yeah. So you're
so
so
I'm
you're
more into
playing
the
music
70s.
to the music to outside people with Alzheimer's.
Yeah, this is my
That's
specialty, but
amazing.
sometime I play in places where palliative centers, or
Yeah,
sometime
it's so powerful.
uh,
It's so good. I used to work with
sometime
Alzheimer's as well, Alzheimer's patients,
love
and
I love it because you
it
know what,
wakes up a part of their brain. It really
music
does
is,
wake up.
so I try to
Yeah.
do music of a period of their life when they were like 30, 40, 50, not when they were 12. And Edith Piaf is like the 60s, the 50s, the 60s. It's getting quite far. So
What's my cat doing? Yeah.
so that's it. Yeah, we
Oh, there we go.
we
Memory
went
care.
into
Yeah. No, but
yeah.
it does open up a part of the brain, and music is so powerful, and it's if you're a
It is.
musical person, it's embedded in you. My dad was a classical composer, and
Okay.
he taught the piano for 60 years.
Wow.
And he used to sing in the choir and everything, and yeah, there you go. Like helped. So I used to work with Alzheimer's patients in a residential setting, and one of the things, you have these, they were treated horribly, and it used to drive me crazy. But I always used to stay behind and use some of my own time to spend it with them, because I just felt so bad for them. And there was a few of them where they would just sit looking at a TV all day like that,
Yeah,
and
that's what.
it's awful. And one of the ladies, when I take her to bed, I'd sing some of the old songs from the war, like It's a Long Way to Tipperary and songs like that.
Uh,
And her eyes would just come to life, and she'd be clicking and trying to click, and it was just
you know what
beautiful.
happens also with these people, these patients? Very often they think they're still 30 years old or 40 years old.
Yeah, they
They
go
don't
back.
realize they're 80, or often
Thank you so
women,
much.
and they're often they fall in love with me because they are,
Yeah,
but
we're
they're
the same
75, 80, but they think they're 40, and they start flirting with me, and that's you
age.
know
Oh, good on
but
them.
because of that, as soon as you start doing activities with them, they get into it. If they like it, like music, they love music. And me, I
Yeah.
also do jokes, I do humor, and I dance with my guitar, and I do some.
Oh, that's so
I really
nice.
get them. I'm having so much fun, and I love working with them because it's
Yeah.
therapeutical for me too, because I can be myself. These people, they don't
Yes.
judge. They don't expect you to sing with a voice, a rocker's voice, and have an attitude, and put yourself and to you can be
Yeah.
yourself. I can let my inner child be alive, because I
Yes.
went,
And you're
and
bringing
then
their inner child alive as well, to a certain extent. So your inner
yeah.
childs are connecting. Yeah. That's
So
beautiful.
so that's about it for the music.
Yeah.
We have
No,
to we're
I miss it. I miss working with people with dementia and stuff. I mean, I find it fascinating and so heartbreaking at the same time, but it really makes a difference. And having people there. I mean, the key word is carer. Your job title is carer, and so
yeah.
many of them don't care. And
Yeah, but that's
in
the
the
problem. T, what happens is that
end,
here we
it's
have
all
many private houses that are run by private
yeah,
administration, and they want to make money. They want to save everywhere. So
yeah,
one of the last places I worked at, they never had animation. the poor people with Alzheimer, when you go into that care unit, they have no nothing. They spend the day like vegetables and the sofa, and
Yes, just sitting there
because
waiting
the
to die.
administration wants to save money. They don't
Terrible.
pay musician for them. They don't pay. When I see this situation, often I will go for very cheap. I'll go for $50, and I'll sing 45 minutes for them, and I know I'm changing their life and their day. You know?
Yeah, and that's it. And I really enjoyed it. And I was doing a nail, learning how to do nail technology, they call it, putting on false nails. And I needed lots of practice and clients and stuff. And so I would stay behind, and I would give them leg massages and pedicures and paint their nails, and they felt, like $1 million.
Oh
And
yes,
they loved it, and
most of them are lovely. Sometimes there are a few that are not grateful or very difficult to deal with, but most of
yeah,
them are very nice. And
yeah, yeah.
so but I don't talk a lot about that in my book, because I'm more into that more and more since my book was written in 2016. I finished it around 2022 in French. Then I translated it, and my English translation was done in October. So I did not add to the book everything I'm going through now, because
Yeah,
the book ends with it's that the story of when I end my cult hopping, when I fall from my pink cloud and I get back into reality, and I
yeah,
start I realize that I am dysfunctional, and now I have child, and I need to get back my life on the right track. So I
yeah,
stopped. This is where my book starts about, but then I go be I talk about all my past. It's like a turn up, it starts at the church where I was traumatized at the end of my journey, and it's finished in that church where I explain a little more what happens and why. And I did not want to then add more in the English version until 2024. I finished there, so I don't talk a lot about the passion that because before I couldn't afford to do that, but now
yeah,
I can afford it because I'm better. I'm much better, so I can ask more money for my gigs, and I can almost earn my living with that.
yeah,
But it's not easy. But it's vocation. When you have a vocation, you're ready to. That's what happened here in Quebec in some private houses. They know that people love it and they have vocations, so they give cheap salaries. The salaries are, and they ask us for so much.
carers
Uh,
don't get paid enough, they
because
really.
I've been working as a carer, and that's how I got into the system of I kind of changed department, and I got into the animation department, but I'm still a qualified carer, so I could go work as a carer anytime. Here we
Yeah. What do
need
you mean by animation? Do you mean like a kind of like a stimulation entertainment kind of?
animation, and yeah, entertainment. Yeah, animation is more
Okay,
is in French.
that
Yeah,
sounds
entertainment,
awesome.
bingo, a small theater show of 10-15 minutes, jokes, humor,
Yeah,
music. I'm getting more in that department, and I'm having so much fun. I leave from
yeah.
home to go and play with these guys. So,
Oh God. When my father's mother was alive, she used to call the residents she lived amongst in the assisted living facility inmates.
it's like that, because we cannot let these people go out. They will lose
It's
themselves.
abuse. It's abuse, like every single some of these people when I went there had been sitting in the same chair for years, just sitting there all day
Yeah,
looking at
but
the telly.
the abuse.
I would stay behind an hour every day, and every day I'd pick a different person, get them in the wheelchair, and take them out. If you just walk around the block, they were
Yeah,
so
but the
happy.
thing, is that
Need that sunlight on you, God,
we don't have
drives.
enough bénévole for that. Bénévole, do you say benevolent in
I didn't
English?
get that. They didn't have the funding, or or
Yeah,
they were too busy. They didn't have the time. They were understaffed, but couldn't
but the
afford to pay
problem
more
here is,
staff. But that's why I did it in my own time, because it was I just couldn't look at these people sitting there waiting to die. sitting there like vegetables. I just
Yeah,
couldn't
it's terrible,
go
but
home. I couldn't
you
go
can't
home
save
and think
everybody,
about those people sitting there. It's just
The,
awful. It's
the problem we have here is a society problem in Quebec. Most of the carers are migrants, African or from the Caribs, and the French Canadian, they don't want to do that, and it's terrible. The English too, it's very
nobody
rare.
wants to
But
do it.
because
Yeah.
what I was telling you is that the salaries are low
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah.
So, if you want to earn a good living and have some money for your kids and buy a house, and you can't do that job. So the
Yeah.
people doing that job are migrants that
It's back to front.
they are used to lower quality of life, and they agree to do it because often also these they don't have the vocation. They see it as a job. For them, doing caring for these people is like washing dishes. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Benevolence, yeah, that's it. We don't have enough benevolence. No, and that's what we should, because it costs money to pay people like me and to pay the staff, but you cannot charge the resident $10,000 a month. You know, they
Yeah.
charge the minimum. They charge. They want to make money. It's businesses, and me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't allow private businesses in that field here in Quebec. It would all be the public system, because here we have a healthcare system with
Mm.
everybody. Me, I have a problem right now. I go to the hospital even if I don't have any insurance. We're all insured in Quebec. Me,
Yeah.
I would put all these people into the same insurance system, and I wouldn't allow the private to take care of people that are
Right.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
That we, I would leave the private just for people who are still independent. They get 70, 80. They don't want to do their dishes anymore. They don't want to prepare their
Yeah.
meals. Then, okay, you can pay into a residence where you have these services. You have a nurse there all the time if something happened because you're fragile. But the people sick, I wouldn't accept them into private. I would put them into the public health system. So
Yeah.
because and all the society, French Canadian and Canadian society would pay for these people,
Mm.
because if we are too we're not we don't want to do benevolence, then let's pay, because we have to take care of these people. And if
Yeah.
you put them in private places, they get treated like you say, like inmates, because they
Yeah.
go everywhere. They eat crap, and the lowest price cookies, and
God, don't get me started on the food. Yeah.
food is crap, and they don't have any entertainment, and they don't have and this is terrible. But
Yeah. I think it seems to be a worldwide problem by the looks of it, you know.
I don't want to
Right.
talk too much about that, because my
Yes.
employer
Let's,
hear that interview, they won't be happy with me.
yeah.
Yeah, let me take you where you want, because me,
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So we were going to talk about the hypnosis and the brainwashing and the mind control sort of techniques, because I think you just said you talk about that in your book, and you want to kind of spread awareness of that and warn people, maybe of because people go, oh, how do you get sucked into a cult? How this person's intelligent, and how do they end up staying? Oh, they're stupid, and but I think that really in fact, there's a thing that Hubbard said, right? So he's been quoted on a few occasions saying that to make money, you have to start a religion. But I found a whole conversation with him saying that when he used to go fishing with his dad as a young boy, and they go fly fishing, and he'd say, you're catching these different fish with a fake fly, and he liked it, and he got off on catching the hardest, the most beautiful fish. So the most intelligent people, the hardest catch. And that's what he wanted to do. That's what he started off to do it for money, but he liked to play the game of hooking the hardest people to hook, to brainwash. Like, he was really into the brainwashing and the hypnosis. He was learning hypnosis from the age of, I believe, 16. He started learning about
the
hypnosis.
master hypnotist when he wrote Dianetics.
Yeah. So
And
I was just, I don't even know where we're going to start. You know, what were we talking about the other night? We were
Yeah.
talking
Well,
about it loads.
let's go on that. I had to lead there. And his book Dianetic, Albert says this is not hypnosis, but it is
Yes,
hypnosis. If
and
I
it
tell you,
was.
I give
Yeah,
you a glass of milk, you don't know what it is. I tell you, this is not milk. This is pop or
orange juice.
you. If you don't know what milk is, you will think that this is orange juice. If I tell you that, so
Yeah,
it's difficult phenomena because as we were saying the other night, if you go in Amazonia or in places with small islands where nobody went, you get
oh,
on
thank you,
these
Irish.
you
Thank you.
get on
Sorry.
these islands, and often you will find the most spiritual people on these places, and they
Yeah,
have
yeah,
never been approached by a Christianity or by this is something it's ingrained in our and us, that search of that need of connection with the universe, with nature. It's like
yeah.
here, the Amerindians, the Indians of America here, before we got here for only like 400 years about, they had their own rite. Even they never knew what was Jesus or Christianity. They had their rites, they would go. For them, it was more the nature, and they had sauna, and they knew because of the heat of the sauna, they
Yeah.
would get into dissociative state and put them
Mhm.
in a slight dissociation, and then they talked that they had flash from their subconscious, and they thought it was the stone that
Right.
their ancestors and their wise old man
Yeah.
spirit were,
Elders.
and the stones that they would put in the fire, and then they put water on it, and they thought that these ideas they had, that came from the subconscious or something like that, was
Mm. The
it
spirit
came
speaking to them.
from the stone, from the spirits. So,
Mm.
so this is the purification rundown in Scientology. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there,
yeah.
but there, L. Ron Hubbard, instead of bringing back that story, like look at the stones, they will talk to you. He programs you
Mm.
with his teachings himself. He doesn't
But
get.
not only that, he actually conditions people to brainwash themselves. You actually end up brainwashing yourself,
Yeah,
in so
but
many
he
ways.
brainwashed mostly. He brainwashed you. And hypnosis, you have the induction,
Mm,
and inductor, which
mm.
something that will put you in a dissociative state, in a trance state. It can be either the way they take your arm, and you put all your attention on that, and you don't realize that you're going into. This is how they
Yeah,
put
yeah.
you in a hypnosis state. And there are many ways. Then the one that Albert use a lot is the one of pain. He puts you in, because when you're in the sauna, when the heat start and it's getting long, and sometimes it's not even painful. You don't. It's not painful, but your body, it knows that heat is abnormal, and
Mm,
and he brings you a little in a dissociative state. It's like
yeah.
that. And then you have the second bit in hypnosis, and I'm still searching for the word. But when you see a stone scale, it gets in your head when you just get out of the purif, and when you when you're a Scientologist, because you do a lot of TRs and you do the purif and all that, you come to a state that you're always dissociated when you get into the space of Scientology.
Yeah.
When you go, I spoke about that in another interview. When you get into an hypnosis bureau
Trance,
offices, no, you
like a
get into
trance.
an offices, you go see an hypnotizer to do therapy with him. You get into his office. It will put you a few times into an hypnotic state at the beginning, but then the next rendezvous, when you get in the office, you go into that state, that same
Yeah,
state,
because there's
automatic.
commands. There's like
It's
subconscious commands and stuff.
yeah, it's like
It'll put you
PTSD.
back into it. Yeah.
It's a bit
Yeah.
like post-traumatic stress disorder. When you get in
Yes.
an environment that triggers you, you get
Yeah.
into that state. You know, the same thing happened in the hypnotizer's office. So this is what happens in the Church of Scientology. Albert has put you into that. Searching the term is.
Trance.
Trance dissociative state, but the other is your level of consciousness is changed. I can't find the words in English. It's your level, a modified conscious state, something like that.
Conditioning.
No, a modified consciousness state. Your consciousness is modified, is altered, it's lower. So when you're in Scientology, you always get into that state. So the second term I'm searching for into the hypnosis, it's the suggestion. Yeah, you have the intake, and then you have the suggestion that the hypnotic tells you. When I'll wake you up, you'd start walking like a frog and go jump around.
Yeah.
So this is what Hubbard does with the posters of the tone scale and all these. You are into a trance state, and then you go and you see that. And that's what happened when I see the credo. It gets in me as beliefs. I start believing in that and the bullshit. And now everything I read from him, all these suggestions transform me into a Scientologist. And these beliefs, they get deep because you're in the trance state. It's deep. That's why the person who just got out of hypnosis will start jumping like a frog. Yeah, dissociative state. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But there are many ways to say it. Some
Hypervigilance, complete hypervigilance. I think there's
no,
so many.
Complete hypervigilance is something else. It's and the post-traumatic stress disorder. You become hypervigilant not to go into places that will trigger you, things like that. So you become hypervigilant, and but it's something else. I'm talking. It's because it's a modified state of consciousness. There are different terms, and sometimes I like to use the different terms because somebody that are listening, they understand that term, but they don't understand trance, but it's all the same thing. Hypnosis state or a modified state of consciousness or trance, it's all the same thing. And that's why Albert tells you this is a hypnosis. He should have had it's a system to put you in a dissociative state. It's not hypnosis, but it's something like that. So where was I? So the big thing in Scientology is the suggestion. When you get into the Scientology space, you get into that trance state almost automatically, and you work on it. That's why at the bottom of the bridge to total freedom, you have all these strong processes that puts you into the dissociative. You have the purification.
You have to keep repeating the TRs every time you go up a level, don't you?
You do them. You do TRs quite often on the bridge, but not at every no. When you get into the HGC Hubbard Guidance Center to get professional auditing, you don't do TRs, but you're connected to the electric flow.
But it's also like so what I've looked into, that there's so many like small components that go into it as well. When Hubbard was doing lectures, it was the tone of his voice, like talking to the beat of a metronome. His everything about it, like that could. It's boring listening to his
I do with you.
Huh? Oh, do you? I mean, you won't be able to get me.
No, but you see that, there is a clip on you can find on YouTube about the Evans Gate leader. You see him.
God,
he's in a state and he talks to people like that. He would big open eye and he's altered.
He's off his chops, that guy. Yeah, his voice is torture.
So that's it.
What? I had it on and my son went to sleep to Hubbard, and he's like, "Can you put that boring man on again to get to sleep?" I said, "I'm not having you listening to that every night to go to sleep. You end up being a Scientologist."
One of my little brother who died, he's now dead.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
went into he became schizophrenic, and he was
Yeah.
my father. You know, he every and the churches and the organization, they sell pack with audio tapes almost every 2 3 weeks. They get a new tape out. So my father would buy them every time, and he says, "Oh, this is the way I pay my tithe. I buy." He had piles of these in his room that weren't opened. My small
Yeah.
brother, he was already very fragile. He smokes all the non-stop like a junkie, and he started listening at these tapes, and then he turned schizophrenic. I don't know how, but when
It
we
can
spoke
happen.
at,
It happens a lot. I think if you've got that underlying, it's like dormant in you, and then you go and you have all this stuff, and it seems to bring it out in people if they have it laying dormant in them, definitely, and narcissistic
that's not what I was gonna
stuff.
say, but
Schizophrenic, yeah, but
because he
it's
was
one
also because he was always stoned, you know, and he would listen at these
oh
tapes.
yeah, well that could
So
that could
his
contribute
state
as
of
well.
consciousness was altered. And he told us after he got out of psychiatric hospital, he told me that happened because of all the tape I'm listening, the tape of
Mm,
about he
okay.
stopped listening to these tapes. But he told me
Oh,
that was turned him into that state where he became schizophrenic. One day he thought my dad was an enemy. He ran after him with a big knife. Or sometime he jumped out from a taxi by the window. So he was really sick. And
mm,
that's what he told me. I know, I was witness. He told me that's the tapes that the Scientologist, Albert's tapes that you were having your son listening. That's what they put
oh,
him into that mental disorder. But he was already fragile. You know, he was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
looking at your son
Oh,
is very young. He's very young.
I
When you're
know,
a
no, he
kid,
was
you grasp
different.
everything when you're a kid. So don't have
No,
him
no
even near
way.
this
No, I
because
mean,
when
I
you're
was
a
listening to
children,
it. Yeah, no, well, I was listening to it because I was trying to, like he said, he pronounces things stupidly, like he says motion picture and
uh,
galaxy and stupid words. So I was listening to the Xenu lecture, and it's quite
yes,
a boring one. And then I was listening to that, and he was next to, he fell asleep. And then he's saying the next night, it's like, oh, Mum, can we listen to that? Because it made me go to sleep really quickly.
yeah, and maybe because he's young, he doesn't understand what the Albert's saying,
Oh
but
no, he understands because
it gets
he was
into his
listening.
subconscious.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, don't worry. But he thought it was funny. He thought it was the way he talks was funny with the pronunciation, and he was we were and he started saying it all the time. He's like, we're driving in, we're stuck in a traffic jam, and he's like, oh, what was it? Land Cruiser. It's
Okay,
stupid stuff. But yeah, it's some
yeah, if
scary
he
stuff.
sees
And
it that as something ridiculous, maybe it's okay, you know. But
yeah, he thinks it's funny. He knows all about Scientology. There's no chance of him ever getting into a cult. It's okay, but
so
and it
yeah,
is the most Scientology is the most extreme form of mind control.
it is. You know,
You know,
Albert was saying he was the Antichrist. But me, the Christ or no Christ, the Christ doesn't lead the world. But I
mm,
believe Albert was one of the most evil person. He was really a bad person, like a
yeah,
raper and like you know, he's the kind of guy you could have a rape. I don't know. I don't want to say things that could put me in problems.
yeah. No,
But I mean,
I
he was a bad person. What he did in Scientology, he cut all the Scientologists from their emotion that are below 2 on the tone scale. Empathy, compassion, love.
yeah,
Love is not written, but it's very
yeah,
close from empathy and compassion. He cut people from when you give something to someone without expecting something in return. Um,
mm,
there's a term for that, but I don't remember.
um, integrity.
No, when you give a
No,
gift to someone, but you do it, then you're gonna not gonna get something in return. You know, it's
kindness,
love. No, it's love and conditional love. That's the term.
unconditional love. Yeah,
Yeah, he deprived Scientologists of unconditional
yeah.
love.
It's
They believe he put his exchange philosophy or whatever, altruist, yes, to he put that if you deprive it, if you don't let the person give you something in exchange, you are depriving her from his autonomy, from his independency. So he's made the Scientologists. Yeah, that's how to exchange the thing. But you have to be a Scientologist to understand that term. So that's why I'm trying to explain it. He
Yeah.
deprived Scientologists of all that part that is located here. That's
Yeah.
why that's why many Scientologists, they get out of Scientology. They don't want to go there. They want to stay theta. They say theta and the higher state of the tone scale. They want to say key out. They want to keep believing that they were King Arthur in the past life, or they don't want to deprogram. They stay Scientologists, but they don't want to put money in that anymore, or they don't want to be So they leave Scientology for some of these reasons, but they don't deprogram.
Mm. Yeah, and a few Scientologists or former Scientologists I've met, they've found it hard to express emotions. Being upset, being happy, being it's
It is.
so incredibly cruel.
Yeah, and then they are stuck. They are stuck with that cult personality, sometime forever, for the rest of their life.
And staring as well, like having this, because the TRs are actually, in my opinion, like one of the worst parts of it, because that's where you're taught, you're being conditioned to accept abuse, with the bull baiting and remain, like this, and also to give abuse, and you're surrendering your like boundary perception, completely, and becoming part of this herd of people, and you're all just.
That's it. So Bart created that race of robots, some kind of robots, humanoid. That's it. And I still have I have a lot of family that are out of Scientology, but we can talk. We can talk together, because the closest one, I don't want to say names or whatever. The closest one to me, we have a lot of painful memories of the shit we had to go through. We all went through abusing,
Trigger each other.
child neglects. We all, so it's very sensitive between us. But some of them, they get mad when as soon as something touch their emotion here, they get completely mad. Fuck off! Then you get around, shut the line, and I tell you.
I get like that with my sisters. We try. My sisters.
Because you don't want to go into these emotion, or you haven't learned to do it, to deal with this emotion that is happening. Me, I was like that a lot, and I lost a few jobs because of that. So I said I had to change. I must change. I must learn diplomacy, and I must learn how to accept other people difference of vision, and people that don't think like me, and people that have struggles with something that me, I think it's stupid. But I had to stop. I had to look at how I was feeling about that, and then just say, shut up a minute. My inner child was triggered. And when sometimes me too, but if I start yelling at her too, it's worse. But I can't talk with them anymore. One of my sisters, she called me a loser the last time because there was something I did, and my father pointed me like that, and he called me a loser when I was studying music, because for him I was wasting my time practicing my music in my room, because I was living with him. And he says, "You're a loser. You go work, go make money." On me, I wanted to be a musician. And so don't ever call me a loser, because that triggers me like crazy. So my sister, one day, she started yelling at me like crazy. You see the state that puts me on. So we shut the line. I didn't speak to her for 5 years, because she's still completely sick. Scientologist.
Yeah.
Ex-Scientologist.
Has
And I
she
have
been
niece,
to
and
any
sorry,
therapy or anything, or
I don't know. They don't believe in that. They
Yeah,
think they have it all in there. They have their complete wisdom, and they want to stay high. They want to stay on their pink cloud. They
the
want
pink
to,
cloud. Yeah,
they
yeah.
want to stay up there on the tone scale, action, serenity, that, that, that. But in life, you have two
It's not
faces.
reality,
It's not
You're
reality. It's
yeah.
like you
You're
cannot
supposed to
have
feel
the
things.
you
Yeah.
cannot have the yin without having the yang.
Yes.
you know
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
they use that in churches. You have the devil on one side and you have Jesus on the other side, the good and the
It's
bad.
true. It's
And
true. You got the
everybody, I heard in AA, I did a lot of meetings. I don't do many anymore, but they were talking often. You have the white wolf on one and you have the black wolf on the other. Which one you're going
yeah.
to listen to? Everybody has that kind of duality. And then,
Yeah, with the devil and the angel. That's what we. Yeah.
Carl
Yeah.
Gustav Jung, le célèbre psychiatriste. You know who I'm talking about? Mais Jung, Carl Gustav Jung,
It
he
rings a
put,
bell.
yeah, he was a partner with Freud for a while, but he detached from
Oh,
Freud.
there we go. Look,
Carl
you got some.
Gustav Jung.
What's this? Thank you,
Uh,
Michael, for your
yeah,
perspective on your history. I'm guessing what this says.
Carl Gustav Jung is talking about that phenomena that to connect both, to connect the subconscious
Or
with the
young, as
conscious.
in Jung, with
Yeah,
a yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Carl
yeah.
Jung. Yeah, and he's
Yes.
talking. He calls it. I don't know the term, but he put out that and he would know a lot about epigenetic if he was still there, because he's talking about uh, a memory that all the archetypes. Yeah, but that's something else. That's not what I'm searching for. The archetypes. Many people would see Jesus as an archetype, and but what I wanted to say is that he his whole process of his therapy is to connect the two sides of us, the dark side with the white side. That's how you get the wisdom. You cannot
Yeah.
go on all your life thinking you're in paradise and Satan is somewhere else. That's what cults do. They say, here you're in paradise with us, and they put you into but you need to keep the bad
That's
side
it exactly.
outside.
Mena, yeah. Mena's got it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like there's no good without bad. How do you know what bad is if you haven't had good, and vice versa, like
That's it. And but
it's
Hubbard, he puts you only with the good feelings.
there's no such thing as
He leaves
perfection.
you on.
That's what they want is perfection and all the same, like these duplicated Ron bots, And it's not that's not what being a human is
That's not
about.
what I'm saying. What I'm talking about.
No?
Hubbard is not about perfection or something. I'm talking about two state of the human kind.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
That
I get
state
that as
when you
well.
get
Yeah.
being a mean person because
Mm.
because you are triggered by your subconscious, that is hurt. When I was younger, before I started doing therapy, i was I was a bad man. Not really a bad man, but don't fuck with me because you're gonna pay the price for it.
You're
But
hurt,
with
man. You were hurt.
I was hurt
Damaged.
inside. I
Yeah.
was in anger with everybody out there, and then when I fell from my pink cloud, I started to see all religion, every groups like cults, like bad people. That it's not like that. We have a search for spirituality. The people, they're lazy. They don't want to do the search inside of them. They want somebody
Mm.
else to bring them that fulfillment.
Yes.
But
No
what
one else wants
Jung
it.
is teaching as a therapeutic process is to connect the subconscious with the conscience, so we can learn to to deal with these emotions when they get up. When I see that guy in the church, when he spoke to me, I should have seen that my little teen inside was hurt, my little child, and I should have, whoa, because I did a show around and everybody a bad perception of me after when the guy came. We're doing a car washing activity to raise money for an orphanage, and he came, and that was a guy higher in the church levels. He came and told us we weren't washing cars rapidly enough, and it wasn't well done. So I told him, just do it yourself. I was hurt, and I let
Yeah,
my
yeah,
inner child bust into. This is when it really started to turn bad, because already I had many divergence of opinion with the preachers and all that, and so that's what Scientology cuts you from the dark side.
yeah. Don't
Yeah,
fuck with the Frenchman.
yeah, French Canadian, Québécois, we say. Yeah. Quebecers. Yeah, I'm not French, I,
Yeah,
I'm not born in France. I went there to travel many times, but I'm Canadian. I'm French
yeah,
Canadian.
yeah. You're a proud Canadian,
Yeah.
but you embrace the French as well. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's because we have a province in Canada that speaks French. A bit like in Belgium, they have that. They have a
yeah,
part of them are Flemish, and another part are
yeah,
French. In Canada, it's
yeah,
like that. We have two official language, French and English. So I'm
yeah, yeah,
Canadian.
yeah.
It's because when we came, Jacques Cartier came to Quebec 350 or 400 years ago. He came from France, and then the
Okay,
British came on the other side. They came in the United States, and they started fighting. And but here the French were established here in Quebec 400, and then the Acadian and isn't it the Acadian dialect? No, it's
oh,
the French. I was telling it's the Acadian are other French, because we established the French army, the people sent from France to come establish themselves here in America. They established themselves here in Quebec and in Acadie, New Brunswick. So even some of them went into there was a higher Canada and the lower Canada. And the lower Canada was French, and the other was English. And it was the British, and then they started a war here in America, and this is how we have a frontier between Canada and United States. But then the English people they learned the war. They had started here. They won the war against the French people. So we
okay.
became Anglo-Saxon kind of British mentality, but we kept
Mm.
our French language because we come from France. So
New
this is how
Brunswick,
the Canada is split.
New
Yeah,
Brunswick.
New Brunswick. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
said. And many islands there, Prince Edward Island, and some of these islands are really more mixed between English and French. But anyway, now
Okay. No, I'm learning. I've always wondered why Quebecese or Quebecans. Quebecan?
Québécois, man, and French we say Québécois, and in English I think it's more Québécois.
Quebecers, right. I was
Yeah.
wondering, I didn't know it was a colonized, or I wasn't
And
sure.
because of that war, it's ingrained into our genes that we are French, and we have sometimes we still fight between English and French, and we want to separate.
Right, I
Sometimes
know.
we want to separate the French province from the English province, but
I know, and
yeah,
it's the same
I'm
in the
not
UK.
separatist.
When I was younger, especially, there was always like, oh, the bloody frogs, calling the French the frogs, and don't get it
Hmm.
so much these days. But I remember growing up, they're always whinging about the French because
No,
I was
me,
on
I'm
I
very
was on the
happy.
coast, the very bottom of the UK. I lived in the south coast, so we're right next to France. So we used to, you know.
Okay, but they,
But
they
yeah,
didn't. The French didn't have any political powers onto over the UK. But here we
no.
both have political powers, and
Okay. Yeah.
so it's a bit like in the state. Every states have their own governor. It's a bit
Yeah.
like that in Canada. We have the Prime Minister of Canada, but every state has their government. Our government is in French. So sometimes we think that we should
Ah,
just separate and start our country But
Yeah.
that's not a good idea. We're only 8 million, 9 million French
You have
here.
more support, don't you, with
No,
the
me, I like Canada. I don't have any problem being a Canadian, a French Canadian. So I don't know what led us there, but because she says,
It's so good. We're just
because he
easygoing.
says, don't fuck with a French man, man. I say, don't fuck with a Canadian man.
We can talk about whatever you like.
Yeah,
I don't care. You know, I'm enjoying it.
yeah,
I don't even remember. I've got notes and stuff, but
yeah. I have to let you because me,
I
I
think
won't stop talking.
no, I love it. I love it. It's nice having someone that talks more than me because I'm just like blah, 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 usually, and I interrupt people. I haven't had chance to interrupt you, so I feel like I haven't been. I hope I haven't been rude. I
No,
normally,
no, no.
I normally can't
It's
control
me that's
myself.
being
So,
rude.
no, not at all. You're not
Yeah, I
being rude.
do. Yeah, I do talk when you talk, and
Ah,
that's not good. I'm trying to
it's
teach my son not to do that, but me, I was badly
okay.
raised. This is
Never stop
something.
talking. Never
This
stop
is
talking.
this is something that will connect us back to the subject a little.
Go on then.
I realized lately. I realized that I wasn't raised correctly. I don't have a good education. This guy inside. I was thrown in the street at 7, 8, 9. I started smoking cigarette. I was 7, 8. I started stealing in cars. I was 10. I got abused at 10, and I started lying to everybody. They say, "What do you do at that man's place all the time?" And oh, we watch TV and and I started. I became a liar, and I hid my little child that was hurt. And I realized lately, in the past years, that's why I have many problems with colleagues. As
Mm,
soon as some colleagues will say something that is not nice to me or whatever, I react a lot.
mm,
And you cannot do that. And to as a professional, you cannot let your emotion take the. And this is one thing that happened when you leave. When I left Scientology, I wanted to reconnect with my authenticity that Albert had deprived me of. And because I wanted to reconnect, I connected so strongly with my emotion. I connected
yeah,
back, and this is sometimes, it's like a continuum. This dissociation is a continuum. If it's not because you get dissociative state in Scientology that you must stop dissociate. And at a certain point, me, I didn't want to go anymore and to trans state and to dissociate. That's it. I want to get in contact again, and because
mm,
of that, I was triggering another mental disorder because you need that dissociative. This is something our creator, which I don't know how to call it, we're like that. It protects us. It protects the psyche, our psychological side.
psyche. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
protects it from traumas that could be too difficult, or even you get dissociative when you get bored. But me, I never bored. I always knew I need to do something, and I'm really stressed, and I need always to be in action. That's bad. That's another
That's on. You're on
disorder.
fight or flight. You're on fight mode all the time. Maybe from trauma. You know.
No, I want to be connected all the time with my trauma, and this is bad
Mm,
because
yeah,
the cults, especially Albert, use my dissociative state to control me and to program me with his Scientology. I've seen it. I started to see that dissociative state as something bad, but it's
mm,
something good. I need to
yeah,
reappropriate that and to learn to go back into the dissociative state. What helps me a lot me when I go walk in nature, when I go in the
mm,
forest, I get a nice level of dissociation.
yeah.
I look
It
at the
grounds
trees,
you.
and so
Yeah,
this is the normality. Many Scientologists, they me they don't they're always dissociated,
yeah.
or those who left cult, sometimes they're never dissociated. They get
Mm,
into worst. It's worse to never be because when you're in the dissociative state, life feels great because you don't feel bad emotions. You only
Mm.
feel the good emotions. So life feels great. But that's not how we are made to be. We are made to be to float all the time between the continuum of dissociation. That's not all the time, but at one end you have just being bored, and
Yeah.
then you approach and I was on the moon. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said, you
Yeah.
know, and then
And
you get
that's like
closer.
that's
And when you
a
get
light.
to the other extreme, you get depersonalized. But you don't want to
Yeah.
be deprived of that continuum because many people are work addicts, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
happens. They don't want to go into that. They want to
They got
keep
to
themselves
face
always
themselves.
busy, always aware of what's happening, but that's not good. So that's why I don't talk against religions as at large or about against spirituality or
Mm.
it's okay, it's good for us to find ways
But even
yeah,
hypnosis, I'm talking about hypnosis in a negative way, and
yeah,
hypnosis can be a good thing.
it
It
helps a
helps,
lot. Hypnosis
but
helps a lot.
it's
Like
just how Hubbard has used it. He's manipulated it in this
bec-
whole big
because
program
of that, so
of
when we get out of
saying,
Scientology, that's why many ex-Scientologists and the social media, many of them, they argue between them, and
mm,
many are still mean. They still lack of empathy and compassion, and
mhm, yeah,
so but these are important to have a beautiful life and to have we need both of the and the continuum. You need to be able to float between both,
yeah,
uh,
balance,
because
yeah.
you cannot be always doing something that keeps you out of this, always connected. And sometimes if I'm always connected on my trauma, when I work in the caregiving centers, I'm like a monster with the colleagues. I'm so nice with the old people, but as soon as a colleague tells me something I don't like, I see him as an aggressor,
Oh
my
no,
inner child, because my inner child,
yeah.
I need to learn to shut him up and tell him I'm
Mm.
gonna take care of you later.
So are you doing therapy still, or are you just trying to work it out yourself and
No,
reading lots and
for now I don't do much therapies. For
yeah.
anyway, psychologists are so expensive and so rare.
Mm.
But
And I think
I'm
that
I'm always working on myself. I'm always
yeah,
studying that. And right now
yeah,
I'm in a book of Joseph Murphy, which is called The Power of Your Consciousness.
okay.
It's a very famous book, and it's very interesting. He's a creator of something called neuro-linguistic programmation.
Oh
He's a
yeah,
bit at the base of. We were talking about hypnosis. It's good. Me, what I think about hypnosis, if you use it in therapy to go see in your past, it's
yeah,
bad. It's
yeah.
dangerous because your natural system has put that down because you were not ready to confront it. And if you
Protecting
go into
yourself.
you don't know, it's like a boîte de Pandore. You know this term, boîte de Pandore. Do you use that? It's a box. When you open it, you don't know what's going to come out of there.
Oh, Pandora's box. Yeah,
Yeah, on the
yeah, yeah.
English. And
Box of
what
Pandora.
happens also when you're in that state, you can have the therapist put you false memories. That happens a lot. And
Yeah.
when and to therapies that use hypnosis, a lot of false memories come up, like in Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
He puts you in a dissociative state, and then he brings you into a past life. And then, me, I found I was a cowboy, and I flew in the air, and I died, and then I saw my body. And when I was a Scientologist, I was sure that that was real, and that was a good way for me to see, it's true, we are detached from bodies. This is just flesh. I'm still alive. I'm a spirit.
Yeah.
I started believing that. So me, I do not suggest people to use hypnosis to go back in the past, but you can
Mm.
use hypnosis to change present behaviors that you are conscious of.
Mm.
Don't go into the unconscious with hypnosis. You don't know, that can trigger
I mean, I've
anxiety.
gone to with my therapist. I did sort of not. not deep hypnosis, but just kind of like a sub kind of to
Yeah.
bring out, trying to figure out what it was. Like one of my kind of like blocks, if you say, is that this thought that I'm a bad person, you know, from my trauma. And she says, why? And I said, I don't know. I don't know where it is. And she goes, well, we need to find out what it is, you know. So she put me in this sub like state, and it was, you know, you're walking down the stairs and all of this. And,
Yeah,
you know,
I did a lot of that. One time I was
but I
doing
didn't go under. I didn't go under. I was, you know, I was aware of everything. And I think, do I have my eyes closed? I don't even think I have my eyes closed. But yeah, and it just went down to like, it was part of my abuse where I was being told that I was ugly and I must sound of my voice and all of these insight, you know, on and on and on, and mental abuse that I had that was causing it. It wasn't because I'm not. I know I'm not a bad
but
person.
you know,
It's
this
it can be
is
helpful.
you can put people into a state of that they are just more comfortable with you, and they trust you, and they feel that they can open with you. You don't see them as an attacker, an aggressor. You know, I'm talking about you. You're the person, the psych that is giving you therapy. You don't see them as because when you're in Scientology, they teach you strongly to hate all psychiatrists and all psychologists, to see them as monsters. So when I went the first time to InfoCult in Montreal, they sent me to a psych that was doing benevolence to help ex-cult members, and I was still seeing him like a monster. And the worst with this guy was this Jewish psychiatrist that he was still stuck in cults himself. I see that when he was listening at me, and he told me he was doing that because I think he was trying to understand himself. He was in, you know, and the worst in his office, he had a big grate like in a jail that closes, and he wouldn't bring us there because that's where he kept the folders. He kept everything behind there. And maybe if people would come in crisis, he would put them behind there. Maybe, I don't know, or him would go behind there. But when I saw that, it reinforced my belief that they are bad people. They want to, but so if he can create a connection with me through the kind of thing your psych does, then I can start trusting him more, and I can open myself. But if you want to go dig and the shit that is there, you don't know what's going to come up. And you can have you can go to one event that pops up, and then you think that all your problems today come from that event. But we are forged with 30, 40, 50 years of experience. You cannot change that into one session of therapy.
That's it. I mean, I'm doing I was doing schema therapy, and you identify your different schemas, and you know, I think I had 3 schemas, and then it's like, why are these creating these maladaptive behaviors? And I found out last year that I have abandonment issues, and I didn't even know I had abandonment issues, you know. At the age of 42 I was, you know, and I'm like, abandonment issues, no way. And it was, my dad was always very loving, and, you know, but he was in Scotland and I was in England, and we saw each other maybe every 2-3 years, and he never called me. He'd call me every 3 to 6 months. But because when I did speak to him, he was very deep with his feelings, he's very loving, and he was loving in my childhood up to the age of 10 when my mum and dad broke up. I thought he was a good parent because I felt, you know, I know he loved me, you know, but it was abandonment issues, and those abandonment issues caused me to make all the choices in my life, you know, and up in worse situations and stuff, you know. And it's but going back to the therapy thing, is it's very, very important to have a psychiatrist or a psychologist that you connect with, you know. I tried 9 different therapists until I found one that I was like, I like this one.
Of course, that's like that. And anyway, with friends, or you're with, you know, even sometimes people in your family, you see that you don't connect with them. But what we were talking about mostly is my opinion of trance state and hypnosis. I don't think that one should go into with another hypnotizer that brings you and your past. I think that people shouldn't do that. You can do some trance state at home, meditation, some kind of meditations like, or and get into that level of dissociation. And nature itself will conduct you where you have to go. You know, this is one thing that pops up when I fell from my pink cloud. I realized that spirituality, it's what we're doing right now, me and you. We're opening about ourselves, and people out there are listening, and some of them will have une prise de conscience in French. They will, and then they will.
Like a cognition, but for want of a better
Yeah,
word. Yeah.
yeah, that's another thing. We must keep on this fucking asshole called Elron Hubbard. You know, the words he used, we need to still use them, but in the proper way. For
What's
a
a
long
different
time.
word for cognition, guys? Another word for bloody cognition. Realization.
Yeah, but we don't need another word.
Oh, well, I don't like saying it.
Cognition, yeah, but we have to deal with that. Cognition is the right word, but this asshole took it for him, and then he now he's still manipulating you that you don't want to use this word. Fuck him. You can use cognition. You know, he didn't invent that word, and that's
Sorry, I like
you know sometime when we wrote letters to Ron, or Abart would send us letters at our birthdays. He always wrote much love at the
Yeah.
end of. He always much love Aaron Abart. So me, I had started doing that. Many Scientologists do that. Much love. I thought it's great. It's very nice. You know, why wouldn't I use it? You know, is he owner of that term? Much love, love, or
No, yeah,
so
I
we
know.
need to. It's Albert that we need to take out of the equation. It's not
But
much love or cognition or dynamic or things like that. But maybe you're not
beingness
there.
or
That's what I was
infinite.
telling you. Yeah, the cognition will come maybe in 10 years for you. When you're ready, you have to trust life, you
Yeah,
know. I'm
no, I
still
know.
doing that continuum, but with these slight trend state, you know, things will come up. Take care of yourself. Just take care of yourself. Start listening at your inner child.
I've been having therapy on and off for 23 years, you
Yeah,
know.
but I think you have had enough therapy. That's what I think. I don't
Well,
know
the
if
thing
you
is I
you
keep
are a
having,
wise person, and
keep
now
having trauma. I keep having every decade. I've had trauma.
yeah, but
The
that's
trauma
life.
hasn't stopped,
Everybody has trauma. I had
and it's
this. There's this
compacted, you
thing
know.
there here. P. I don't want to put you down on what you're
No, I
saying.
know,
I
I know.
understand it's very painful, but me, I do.
Yes,
I do
so,
intermittent fasting. You know what is intermittent fasting?
yes,
Intermittent
yeah,
fasting.
yeah.
Me,
I used to
18
do
hours
that.
a day. I don't eat. I eat on a gap of 6 hours. Okay, but I started with a gap of 12 hours. I was doing 12, 12. Then I went easily to 14. I wasn't hungry after 12 hours. And then I went and now I do 18 hours. Like sometimes it's 18 hours. I'm not even hungry. I just know that I lack energy. It's the same thing with the processes we're trying to go through. You have to
Yeah.
be, to agree to feel the pain. You have to
I
agree
know,
to.
but I mean, it's things like, my son's father died suddenly. It's not like something, it's pretty big
It's
trauma.
difficult, and that's
It's
why
like,
you also need to be able to go into dissociated state,
yeah,
to
I don't know.
disconnect from this trauma and slightly deal with it. It's nature, you know.
Mm,
Our God, I don't know if it's nature, universe, or something that created our system, is amazing. He made us amazing. we are
I
we
know.
are done. He made us with a gap, you know. It's like a trap, you know. When it stink, the égout in French, where we go to the toilet, flush the toilet, shoop, there is a trap. It closed back,
Okay.
so you don't smell the shit. and
Yeah,
then and then when it needs to open, because it needs air, it opens a bit, and then it closes again. That's what dissociative in a certain way is. And you need to be
yeah,
able to if you're always open like I used to be, always in
I smell
the
shit all the
shit I
time.
was, you need to go in nature like I do. I don't know what's for you. Me, I'm a great fan of normally on that table I have a small infuser with oils. You know,
Yeah,
I
see,
love to put lavender in it, or I
yeah,
put
you're right. I do. I need to look after myself because I
I
don't do
need
anything
pepper.
like that. I
Yeah,
avoid. I
you know,
avoid.
because I said you have had enough therapy, because I know you had a lot of therapy, so you have done.
I'm not having therapy. I haven't had therapy for about a year now because I
Okay,
just felt
but
like it wasn't doing anything anymore. You know, it's just not.
that's it. That's it. You're there
Yeah,
now. You
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
there. You have learned enough. You
yeah,
went inside of you enough, and now
yeah,
it's you to take control of your life. And it's
yeah,
difficult for cults member because we're for ex cult member, because we're used to having a guru that tells us everything. Al Robert was telling us what pen to use to write and what how to cook a steak, and you know he was telling us everything. One day you're gonna have to start trusting yourself and your intelligence.
yeah.
You have
I
everything inside
think.
of you.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
think what I think is I avoid. I do avoidance. So don't look after myself, and I'm in avoidance, and I get obsessed with something. So I'm in avoidance doing this obsessive thing because I'm worried. Because every time I've like, right, I'm strong and I'll get on with life, then something else happens. Like my dad died a couple of months
yeah,
ago. And I'm just
I
I
understand,
don't
and
want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to go through the trauma again.
yeah,
And
that's it. But
I've stopped leaving the house.
then
The only time I leave the house is to go shopping, to go to work, or to protest. I don't go out. I don't have friends. I don't have a life, and I'm
yeah, but
safe.
you know,
I'm safe. You know, I'm safe. And my friends are here on YouTube. I mean,
yeah, but
I've
you
got
know,
to
I don't
face
see
it. I know I've got to face it. You know,
if you're
yeah.
bored and you never go out the house, but
I'm never
you're
bored.
yeah, but if so everything is fine with you. When I look at you and I talk to you, I don't see a woman with problems with condition, mental condition.
It's a
You're fine like
mask.
you are.
I've my mask. When I'm not on YouTube,
No,
I've laid in bed half of the day, and
yeah,
you
but
know,
me,
I don't
that's
do my
my.
hair and makeup. I'll stay in the same clothes for 2 or 3 days. I do my.
Everybody does that.
Do
Everybody
they?
does that. Yeah, that's programming that you need to have a shower every morning. That's programmation. If you work in the unit cares unit, some of these people in there, they don't take shower for years. They
Oh
just
no.
watch their because they don't want to. You cannot argue with a person 80 years old. She doesn't want to go in the shower. You just we wash their bum, their genital parts, and their every day we wash them, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of them,
I was the number one shower girl. It
we
was the
don't.
hardest
I know
residents.
my
The
ex
hardest
was like
residents.
that.
No one could get them in the shower. There was these two people, and
But this is programmation. This is bullshit. You think people living in the woods they take shower every day and yeah, I mean there's nothing wrong with you. Accept yourself as you are. Oh, just a minute. I'm not a therapist. It's because we're happy. I and didn't want to put you on the spot.
oh no, I don't care.
Me, I think you're fine. You're going to a
Thank
hard
you very
time.
much. Yeah,
Your
I'm
father
getting there.
died. Your father died like a few months
And with the
ago.
abandonment issues that haven't been addressed, you know,
Yeah, but
and then
now
it's like,
it popped up, and all this is what you're going is normal life.
yeah.
You're going to a grief. It's not easy. I know me. I lost my brother, my father, my mother, the three within a year and a half. You know,
I can relax. Yeah.
and that
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know I'm all right. I'll be all right. I know I will be all right. I've got things to look forward to.
yeah.
I've been worse. So
I
I've been
think
worse.
you know. I'm sure you are on the right path because
Yes.
I see what you are looking at and your other what you're posting on social media. Where your interest leads you to. You are going to learn a lot, and
Yes.
then you're gonna have these cognition, and you're gonna feel better, and
Yeah.
maybe you're just gonna learn to deal with that state that we are broken inside. We are broken people, and we need to have
We're
a
all fucked.
healthy. We
Everyone
need to have We need to have a healthy continuum of dissociation.
Yeah.
People like us, we need to be able to dissociate. You know me, I don't use drugs and alcohol for 22 years now, but
I don't drink
I
or
do eat
well,
sometime. You know, I still have very. It's very difficult for me to watch a movie without practicing something on my guitar or working on a book.
yes.
I'm always
Yeah.
doing. It's very hard, and I know that I still have to work on that. Just stay there and do nothing, or so I want to go and do camping more next summer. Do more camping and
Get
stay in
into
the
nature.
nature. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
it's not
Get
easy.
grounded.
It's not easy to get. You know, but again, this can trigger when you're alone. If I'm when I say camping, it's on camping site where there are activities, there are the things I
Yeah.
can do. I can go on the lake with canoe, and you know, so I get out of my. But we learn every day. We learn every
Yeah.
day until we're old, until we get
Yeah.
18, 19. Then if we don't learn anymore at that time, it's time to go somewhere else to die. If you want to stay alive, you need to agree to touch the pain and the good moments and the bad moments. Don't be like a Scientologist and just go to the good moments and leave the bad moments for bullshit. You're gonna go into audition and transform that bad moment into something. There's something that helps me a lot is that I'm a resilient person. I always try to find something good in what happens, and that's
Yeah.
how I managed to turn my horrible story into something constructive. And I
A
did a nice
positive in every
book.
negative. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said Scientology and the mission of the and all that. I'm taking my life back. You asshole that calls me an SP or a Satan's child or
Yeah.
fuck you. I'm taking it back to me, and I'm gonna write the
Family
truth
push.
in the book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write in the book what happened to me, and today I think I'm much wiser than I used to be. I had very difficult moment. You know, when I
Learning
lived
and
in France, every day I prayed to God to come and take me.
yeah.
To my God,
I've been
my
there.
that's please
Yeah.
come and take me. I didn't want to kill myself, but I couldn't. I was there almost on the street with no place to live. Was so, and now today I'm afraid of dying because I have wonderful kids, and now I want
Yeah.
to live until I'm 100 years old. But back then I wanted to die. That's
It's just a
life.
small part of your life, isn't it? I know it is. I know that this too shall pass. You know, I know that. And here you are counseling me. You're being my therapist.
No, 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 I'm not. I'm not
No, I
because
know you're not. I'm
I'm
joking. I'm
gonna get
joking.
in trouble with the
No, no,
government.
no, no.
I'm not
It's all
I'm
good.
not a therapist. I'm just sharing my experience, like I learned to do in the
No, I think
when
this is
I share in
important.
meetings, AA meetings,
Yeah.
any meetings, I learn to go in front of the room and share my experience, my strength and hope. That's what I'm trying to do.
No,
And
it's nice, and I think that we all see the world in different ways, and it's nice for us all to connect and share all of our different views and the ways that we see things, and we can all learn from each other and each other's experiences and stuff. And I appreciate this community so much. This is my social life for now.
yeah, that's
You know?
something new. Now we have social medias. We're not completely alone in our house. I spend a lot of time in my place too because I'm comfortable, and
Oh, I love being at
I
home. Yeah.
decorate it, and I have my guitars, and I have my laptop on the sofa. Now I did my almost all my translated all my book from French to English on the sofa with my laptop on my knees, and coffee. And,
And typing it all.
huh?
Are you typing it all?
No,
Oh God, I was gonna say that take
no.
forever.
Well,
That's
when
boring.
I got but I tapped it all, yes, in French. I wrote a book. Of course I tapped it all.
I love your
But
accent. Sorry. Of
but for
course.
for the translation, I had help to translate it because my English vocabulary is not strong enough. The words.
Okay.
So my English version of my book that I did myself when I tried to it was boring because all the same words always came up because my vocabulary is not very good. And also when I work on my Audible, sometimes when I hear my text, I see that there are some phrase turning that don't fit, and I change it. So this is what I do with my laptop. But when I wrote my book in French, I sat at my desk and
Yeah.
I wrote the book, and it took me like 2 3 years to write it because first thing, because sometime I didn't want to be in it. Uh, it stayed 2 years in my computer because when I was done writing it, I felt great because all
Oh, good.
the
Yeah.
therapeutic process of writing a book. Plus, I felt that I got my life back. I felt that, and I said, I
Yeah.
put everything,
There's
the
something
truth in
very,
my book,
yeah.
and I
There's
denounce
something very
Albert, and I
therapeutic.
denounce. But then I said, am I
about
going to
writing.
publish it? It stayed 2 years in my computer before I said, okay, now I'm publishing it. And
Yeah.
so there I started. I worked in the book again, but it's a lot of time. It takes so much time, and this time I cannot work. So that's why I'd love.
I
Is
wish
that
Michelle would do the audio as I
well?
listen to his accent all day. I love it. Yeah, me too. Well, you
It's
are
the
kind of.
well for the audio. I'm using an EI, and
Wouldn't it be quicker just to do it yourself, like just to read it?
oh, no, it would be terrible. I'm using the AI that it
Why? It
uses
would be
my own
lovely.
voice
It'd be lovely.
in English. I don't know. Maybe I will try something. There's and I cloned my voice. I read for 2 hours in French. I cloned my voice, and now I can use this voice either
Look, there you
in
go. Look,
Spanish.
Adrian as well. We love it. We're all loving it.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. But I will try with my French cloned voice to read an English text to see what it does. Because
Yes,
with a cloned voice, when you read a text in English, it transforms my voice, my tonality of voice,
oh my God.
and it transforms it into English, but it leaves my French accent away. And
Mm.
so I become like an Anglophone more. You don't hear the French accent.
Yeah.
How much, how much time it takes? All the time I put into that book, into publishing, and to
I know.
market,
Please buy.
and the money, and the
Please buy
money,
Michelle's book. Okay,
the
it's
money I put to market it. My God.
no, you're
And to
doing it
have
all
some
yourself.
freelancer, I need a freelancer to help me with the correction and English. I put so much and I
Falling,
sell so few. I don't sell
falling from
because
a pink cloud when spirituality leads to a dead end. It sounds fantastic. I am definitely going to be buying a copy. I
it
may even
is.
try to just buy a copy and read it, which I haven't done. Well, I've got a pile of books that have been gifted and I haven't read them, but I'm really, really intrigued by this book and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to reading it.
But
So,
I'm gonna get the Audible version out because
yeah,
I understand that people today
a lot of people, more people are
with the
wanting it
screens
these days.
and all that, we all this transmitting of information has changed today.
Yes,
We don't get
massively.
the information like we used to do while reading book, or we don't escape reality while reading a novel or something like that. We don't. Well, I still do it a bit myself. I still read. I have quite a few books there on my. I read quite much, but not most people. They like listening at things like we're doing now, or they want to maybe the Audible version, but I still have to work on it. The problem is that Audible doesn't normally doesn't accept AI voices, but it's my voice. It's just that it's equilibrated, so I don't have to.
It's so weird because Jamie Mustard's definitely, it's somebody reading it, but it sounds like AI to me. It
Yeah,
really
but
does.
mine doesn't sound. My book doesn't sound AI.
Mm.
They're getting there. I'm not gonna tell you the application I use because lately they are not. They don't have good clientele service. And I have
Okay, fair enough.
problems and they don't get back to me. So I don't want to do publicity for them. But
Okay.
today, when you clone your own voice, but maybe that's the guy did. That's what the guy did with Jamie's book.
It sounds like it.
He
Yeah.
cloned his
Yeah.
own voice. he read like an hour or two, cloned his voice, and then use it to interpret other people's book.
But you're perfecting it. By the sound, you're a perfectionist, like you're saying. You're perfecting it, whereas that one wasn't perfected. There was bits I could tell. And
Oh,
it's
mine.
a bit of it's very boring to listen to, quite hard to listen to. But
Me, when you listen at mine, the problem with the app I'm doing is that between paragraph, it changes. Sometimes I'll go like my debit will be, okay, that day I was on the internet, and then I went for holidays, and then we got back home. Then I changed paragraph, and then it's go. But once at home, I started taking so the debit changed. The memory between paragraph doesn't keep. It's still my voice. It still doesn't sound EI, but then the debit change or that's what
I
happens.
bet it sounds perfect, and you're being too much of a perfectionist.
Maybe, but it's like my book. My book is high level. Even though I'm self-published, it could be published by any big publisher. It's a good book, and but just now, I need to tell something to people who might encourage me in buying it. Is that please wait 3 or 4 days, because I just finished my re-edition of it. As I was telling you, when I listened to Audible, I said, "Oh, that doesn't sound good," so I changed it in my text, and so I pulled out the book from Amazon and the other place, Barnes and Nobles and everything, to do a re-edition that would be much better. So the old book was good too, but the new edition I did, well, when it didn't flew, the text didn't flew well, I changed it. So the new edition will be available in 3 or 4 days, almost
cool. Awesome.
Mostly on Amazon, but it's going to be in Barnes and Nobles and all these places, but maybe in 2-3 weeks. But on Amazon, KDP, it will be there. Unless they say you make too many changes, you need to do a new edition. That's possible, but it doesn't take very long. So within a few days, it's going to be accessible and available there. And the thing is that what I put myself into is a big combat. It's something a big adventure, and I wouldn't mind having some help with doing it.
Yeah, please.
Like when I.
It out, share this video, or mention it and stuff.
Yeah.
And the link to buy it on Amazon is in the description of this stream. Hello, Mad Drop Bear. You're up. It's 3 a.m. where you are. And speaking of the time, it is now midnight.
It's now time to go. It's
midnight for me, and my son is still awake. He's waiting for me.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's time to shut up.
He won't go to sleep without me.
The last thing I wanted to say, I did television interviews in Quebec, and I go there. And I've never paid for any of these, and I help journalists a lot in their inquiry, and I never get a cent. I don't do it for money. But lately, with all my books project, I spent like $10,000-$15,000 with my book in French, book in English. I need freelancer in English. I need freelancer. I need to pay that program to record my Audible version. Wow. It's quite a lot of money that I had the saving, so I can do it. And all the time too. All the time, I cannot do that when I have worked all day, get back at home at night, and do something good. I need to have all my spirit, my energy to do a good job. So good night, my dear, and take care of yourself.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being here. And please check out the links, and you're welcome to come on anytime and just chat shit or whatever you want to.
Yeah, we should do a podcast together. I'm trying to start a podcast. I'm trying to start it.
About much brainwashing, but
yeah, we could come with subject and do smaller sessions, 45 minutes, about one specific subject or something.
Yeah. This is sorry about this. So Gnome Roma is a gnome. It's a gnome called George, and he's going around to different locations and going out protesting with and also, he's coming to Australia soon. So
that's great.
In time for Hubbard's birthday, where I'm doing a protest for Hubbard's birthday. Oh,
Well,
more of a vigil, yeah.
go kiss
Remembering
your
the
sons
people.
good night, and thanks
Yes,
thanks
I
to
will.
everybody
All
for
right.
being
Thanks,
there.
everyone.
Okay.
Lovely to see you all.
Bye.
All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Don't forget to hit the like on the way
Bye-bye.
out. All right. Bye. Bye. Oops, I'm still here. All right. See you later, everyone. Sorry, Mads. You're up bloody late. Go back to bed. Bye. Thanks for modding, guys. Love you all. And I'll see you next time. Nighties. Bye.